All right, hello and welcome to this training. As you can see from the title, what we're going to be covering today is how to become unrecognizable in 6 months. And as you can see from the overview, what we're going to be covering is identity overhaul, physical transformation, skill acceleration, environmental reengineering, psychological fortification, social recalibration, the review, and your action items for the day or the next few days. So without further ado, let's talk about identity overhaul. So, if you don't change your identity, you'll most likely drag the same problems into your new life like rotting luggage you never unpack. And the reason most transformations fail isn't because people lack effort, it's mostly because they try to staple new habits onto the same old self image. And that's like trying to build a skyscraper on swampland. You can lay the bricks perfectly and still watch the whole thing sink. Real change starts when you burn the blueprint of who you've been and redraw it from scratch. You behave in a way that matches the story you believe about yourself, even if that story is outdated and choking you. And so, if you see yourself as someone who tries to get in shape instead of someone who is in shape, your brain will sabotage you every step of the way. And so everything from how you eat to how you dress to how you talk, even how you sit in a chair, has to come from that new identity. If it doesn't align, then it dies. And if there is a mismatch between who you say you are and how you act, you create cognitive dissonance and people can smell it. And worse, you can smell it. It festers until you either align or collapse. And so you need to stop thinking of yourself as a product of your past and start thinking of yourself as a product of your decisions. Every time you make a choice, you cast a vote for who you become. And you don't need to overhaul your whole life in one dramatic gesture. You just need to keep voting for the right person until the old you is outvoted permanently. And so when you stack those votes without breaking streaks, the shift becomes irreversible. Not overnight, but inevitably. And before you can rebuild, you have to rip out the moldy floorboards. That means creating an inventory for every belief, every pattern, and every habit you have, and deciding whether it serves the future you're trying to build. This is where you can't afford to be gentle. Maybe it's fine is the most dangerous phrase in your vocabulary at this time. If it's not a hell yes, then it is a surgical no. And this could mean deleting apps, cutting off friends, even quitting jobs. And yes, it will hurt. But no, it won't kill you. You can't just think your way into a new identity. You have to live it in your body until it's the only thing that feels real. So wear the clothes that the new you would wear. Eat the way they would eat. Speak the way they would speak. The repetition makes it automatic, and automatic becomes identity, and identity becomes destiny. People will resist your transformation. Some will mock you. Others will try to pull you back into the mud because your change threatens the comfort of their own stagnation. And if you fold when someone questions you, you were never serious to begin with. The fastest way to prove you've changed is to keep going when no one believes you will. You have to treat the new identity like a religion. A faith that requires rituals, symbols, and unwavering belief, even when the evidence hasn't caught up yet. Morning practices, nighttime reflections, even the way you structure your week, these become sacred. Break them and the entire system weakens. Objects, tattoos, mantras, anything that keeps you anchored in the identity when the temptation hits. The old self doesn't die quietly. It will claw at you with nostalgia, old cravings, and fake comfort. That's the trap. Expect the relapse thoughts, expect the justifications. Have your counter moves ready before they even show up. And over time, you'll notice that those voices get quieter until they disappear. And that's when you know the shift is permanent. So when you take full responsibility for everything, good and bad, you stop waiting for permission to change. And if you're in charge, there's no one left to blame. That's terrifying at first, but it's also the most freeing thing in the world. And so that's when you stop reacting to life and start dictating it. And here's how to force an identity shift in the shortest possible time. First, make sure to choose your archetype. Write a one-page profile or identity document of who you're becoming, their habits, their values, their priorities, their style, energy, even their faults, even their character traits. Cut the contradictions. Audit your environment, routines, and relationships, and if they belong to the old you, they need to be gone. Then finally, act as if from day one you behave like the new you, no waiting period, no easing in. Language, posture, decisions have to be all in alignment. And then document the proof. Keep a running log of moments you acted like the new identity, even in small ways. Why? Well, it will reinforce your self-belief that you're actually becoming this person. Then protect the signal. Avoid any situations, media, or people that pull you into the old self. And then finally, accelerate the feedback loop. Put yourself in environments where your new identity is not only normal, but necessary to belong. And once the new identity locks in, your external reality will start reshaping around it. The world will respond differently because you are different. And when that happens, the next step is to make sure that the body they see, the presence they feel, and the energy you radiate all confirm the story you've written. So the next step would be to create a physical transformation. So you can't hide a changed body. If you walk into a room, people will feel it before they even look. And something in your posture, something in your presence and your energy announces itself without you even saying a thing. That's why this part matters. It's not about muscle or abs or dropping fat. It's mostly about making your transformation impossible to ignore. You want people to double take, to whisper, to stare and think, what the hell happened to them? Your body is the receipt for your discipline. It's proof you weren't bluffing. Changing your body is the fastest way to prove to yourself that you're capable of executing long-term change. You wake up every day and it's there, undeniable progress in the mirror. That becomes momentum you can spend on anything. Business, confidence, seduction, focus. It's leverage that bleeds into every part of your life. And so you'll stop saying things like, I'll try or we'll see. And because you know you can handle pain. You know you can stay consistent. And that kind of confidence is loud without even saying a word. And there's a shift that happens when you know you've become someone who can finish things, someone who can follow through. And that shift is addictive and rare. Your body is a physical representation of your mind. When you master your body, you start to realize you can master your mind too. Your cravings, your impulses, your excuses, they're all tied to your biology. They're all signals. And when you learn to stop answering those signals automatically, you start breaking the chains that kept you stuck. Hunger, laziness, comfort, these become weapons in the hands of weak people. But once you face them and keep moving anyway, they lose their power. You're not negotiating with weakness anymore. You're overriding it. Every time you choose discomfort on purpose, you reclaim a part of yourself. And people complicate fitness to avoid actually doing it. Don't let optimization become your excuse for procrastination. I see so many people overcomplicating going to the gym. You don't need 30 supplements and 5 different training splits. You need fewer decisions and just more sets and reps. Lift heavy, walk a lot, eat intentionally, not to brunch or just to eat. Actually be intentional with what you eat, what you put in your body, and how often you do it. And sleep like it matters. Repeat until you're unrecognizable. That's basically it. You shouldn't be aiming for one perfect day or 10 or 30. This is what trips most people up. You need to aim for 100 average days. That's it. 100 boring, repetitive, average days. That's what turns heads. That's what breaks your old body. That's what breaks your old habits. What you tolerate in your physical state bleeds into everything else. Sloppy posture leads to sloppy thinking. Low energy leads to low ambition. You can't be high output in business, for example, when you're low discipline in the kitchen. How you do one thing is how you do everything. You start identifying as someone with high standards, and that loop self-reinforces. You eat better because you train, and you train because you see progress, and you don't want to ruin the streak, so you keep going. Suddenly, the idea of going back feels disgusting, not because of vanity, but because you know what it costs to be average again. And there's no version of this where you coast into a transformation. You don't get shredded by being moderate. You don't get to look amazing by fitting it in. You're either going full tilt or you're getting swallowed. It has to matter more than food. It has to matter more than comfort, more than balance. Balance is what built the version of you that got you here, but it won't get you where you're trying to go. Eventually, you'll get hooked on seeing veins, on tightening the belt another notch, on hearing people say, you're starting to look sharp. And you'll train on days you don't feel like it. You have to meal prep when everyone else is ordering Uber Eats. Now, that's not to say that you can never order Uber Eats, but If you want to look different than most people, you can't have the or do the actions that most people do. You lift when you're tired and you walk when it's raining, and that's what creates the gap. Not the genetics, not the shortcuts, sets and reps. The structure becomes your religion. You don't question it, you just show up and obey, and that obedience compounds. Ironically, the more rigid your system becomes, the freer you start to feel because you're not lost in what should I do today? You already have decided. And so the process will cost you most likely invitations, brunches, parties, spontaneous nights out, some relationships most likely. Good. That's the point. It's a form of purification. You're burning off the parts of you that want cheap dopamine. With every sacrifice, your goals come into focus. You stop being tempted by small rewards because you're chasing something bigger. And here's the 6-month framework I would use to become physically unrecognizable. First, train at least 4 times a week. 4 heavy lifts. You can do them in a way where it's push, pull, legs, full body. Then bonus points if you add some kind of a low intensity steady state cardio like 2 long incline walks a week. No off week, just deload weeks. Then eat the same meals every day, or at least try to eat mostly the same meals every single day. At least breakfast and dinner, if you eat breakfast, at least breakfast and dinner have to be the same. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, and 1 snack if possible. High protein, unprocessed, no emotional eating. Then cut the poison. No alcohol, no weed, no binge nights, nothing that can take you off the plan. I would also walk 10,000 steps daily minimum, rain or shine, indoors or outside, no exceptions. I would also sleep at least 7.5 hours per night. No screens 1 to 2 hours before bed, no caffeine past 2 p.m. Treat sleep like a performance drug because it really is the best performance drug. And then track as much as possible: weight, calories, training volume, sleep, steps. If you're not measuring it, you're guessing, and guessing keeps you where you are. Now, once the identity clicks and the body follows, something wild happens. Your capacity will explode. You will think clearer. You'll move with more force. People will treat you differently, and you'll start to realize you're capable of way more than you were told. But now the question is, what the hell do you do with all this power? This is what we're going to discuss next in skill acceleration. Now, once your body is dialed in and your identity is sharp, the next move is power. Real, tangible, practical power. And power in this world looks like skills. Stackable, monetizable, rare skills. Things that make people need you, that make clients want you, that make the market reward you for just existing. And so the right skills put you in rooms the old self couldn't even pronounce. If you want to become unrecognizable, you need to make your output unrecognizable. People will stare, not because you look different, but because you suddenly matter. And the old you took 6 months to start a thing. The new you can learn a high-income skill in 6 weeks and get paid by week 8. The difference isn't in the intelligence you have, it's the intensity, the focus, the immersion. You will stop dabbling and you will start compressing time. You treat every new skill like you're training for the Olympics, not a hobby, not exploring. You listen to the podcasts, read the books, buy the courses, take the notes, join the communities, join the coaching, stalk the experts. You breathe it until your brain rewires itself. Most people waste years learning things that don't translate, skills that are fun and safe and useless. If it doesn't make you harder to replace or faster to earn, delete it. Ask yourself, does this skill solve a painful problem for someone? Would they pay for it? If not, it's a hobby. Keep it for the weekends. And now, if it's painful enough, most of the times people would pay for it. So, copywriting, sales, email marketing, video editing, code, paid ads, design, branding, funnel building, storytelling. These are the modern weapons. Just pick one, master it, and stack the rest later. If you have no idea where to start, I would say go into copywriting or sales, if you ask me. If you're not making money with your skill within 90 days, you're not serious about it. Real urgency will create output. Real pressure creates solutions. So don't wait to be ready. Package a result and sell it. Help 3 people for free if you must, but get reps in the real world. Skills will not grow in isolation. You need real feedback loops, real clients, real pressure. Nobody ever got exceptional by being balanced. You have to go too far. You have to make it weird. You have to be the guy who learns copy during his lunch breaks and rewrites ads for fun at 1 a.m. At one point, I was working at a warehouse and was starting a copywriting agency at the same time. And I remember literally writing copy by hand on a piece of paper that I found at the warehouse while the supervisor wasn't looking, just so I can practice the phrases. People should start asking you if you're okay. You should be turning down parties because you're building. Eventually, you don't even miss the noise because you're in a flow, and flow feels better than escape ever did. Now, passive learning is a trap. Just taking courses doesn't make you skilled in any way. It teaches you the skills, but execution, feedback, public failure, that makes you skilled. You need output like publish 100 tweets, build 10 funnels, send 100 cold emails, get on 100 sales calls, create 50 videos, edit 50 videos, create, ship, repeat. You'll suck at first, which is good. That's how you know you're playing a real game. That's how you know you're growing. Keep going until the gap between your taste and your skill actually closes or becomes smaller and smaller. You don't just need practice, you also need pressure. So you need reality to punch you in the face a few times so you can adapt. That's how you build the instinct. So shortcut to your feedback loop by finding someone 10 steps ahead. Pay them, serve them, learn how they think. Ask for honest feedback and not compliments, not praise. You want the stuff that forces you to level up. You want the criticisms. A skill without distribution is also like a weapon in a drawer. Learn to show it, build in public, make noise as much as possible, be visible. If you're good, people will come. If you're great, you won't even have to really ask. So document your journey, tweet what you're learning, make YouTube videos, write blog posts, publish case studies, post screenshots, show receipts. The more value you drop, the more opportunity you attract. And suddenly you're getting DMs. You're the one getting interview invites. You're the one getting clients, collabs, deals. And all you did was just show your work, the one that you're already doing anyway. So here's how to accelerate mastery in any skill over the next 90 days. First, pick one skill and ruthlessly eliminate everything else. No dabbling, one thing. Then deep dive for 7 days. I want you to saturate your brain, read, watch, listen, and write about that skill for 8+ hours a day. Just get obsessed. Then launch one project, build something real, a landing page, an ad campaign, a short film, a cold outreach sequence. It doesn't matter, just ship something. And then get feedback fast. Ask someone better than you to rip it apart. Then you need to fix it and ask again. And if you repeat the cycle every week, every day, shipping something new, stacking outputs, sharing them, iterating them, something will happen, I promise you. And by day 30, you'll be able to charge money. Offer the skills to others, even if it's just $50, even if it's just $1. When I first started learning Photoshop close to a decade ago out of pure interest, I decided to start making YouTube banners for YouTubers. My first YouTube banner client was for $15 and it was given to me by Iman Ghazi. I still have the video of me being super happy seeing that payment land in my PayPal. My first marketing client after hundreds of cold calls was $100. I was ecstatic even though I couldn't even cover my groceries with that money. So get someone to pay for your work. Once they do, you're in business and it's only up from there. Maybe not quickly, but progress is progress. Now, you've got the body, you've got the skill, you're sharper, faster, more respected, more capable, you've got the identity. But here's the problem. None of this matters if your environment keeps dragging you back. You can be a new man, but if you're living in the same room, around the same people, with the same digital noise, it's only a matter of time before you snap back to baseline. So let's talk about environmental reengineering. So your environment will always beat your willpower over the long run. You can have the perfect plan, the strongest mindset, and the clearest goals, but if you wake up in the same messy bedroom surrounded by the same lazy friends in the same dopamine-drenched digital bubble, you will eventually fold. And it's not because you're weak, it's because you're still swimming in the same water that drowned you last time. If you want to be unrecognizable in 6 months, you can't just change you. You have to change the air you breathe. Most people treat their environment like background noise, as if it's just there. But your surroundings are an operating system, and they run you. They dictate what's easy, what's hard, what's normal, and what's impossible. An environment that feeds distraction will make focus feel like swimming upstream. An environment that feeds health will make discipline feel natural. You don't rise to your goals, you sink to your surroundings. And so this means your space, your tools, and your social circle aren't neutral. They're either pushing you forward or holding you underwater, and there's no middle ground. The first step is subtraction. It's not about adding productivity hacks or vision boards. It's about removing everything in your physical and digital space that keeps the old version of you alive. Unfollow people who make you feel like mediocrity is acceptable. Delete apps that hijack your focus. Block websites that suck hours from your day without giving anything back. That's what you should do with your digital world. Now, when it comes to your physical space, clear the clutter. Throw out anything that doesn't serve the life you're building. Old clothes, junk food, random trinkets that belong to your past self, they all need to go. Once you've cleared the dead weight, you can rebuild intentionally. You make your environment do the heavy lifting so you don't have to rely on willpower. So make bad habits harder. No junk food in the house. Keep your phone across the room. Log out of Netflix, and make good habits unavoidable. Gym bag by the door, books on your desk, notes for your next project visible the moment you wake up. People are the most powerful environmental factor of all. So you can't expect to sprint when your entire circle is moving at a crawl. So get closer to people whose normal is your goal, even if it's just through a mastermind, a Discord group, or meeting one person for coffee every week, even if it's just through Instagram. Limit time with those who pull you into old patterns. You don't need a dramatic exit speech. Just become harder to reach. Let the gap grow naturally. Sometimes the only way to win is to physically leave. A new city, a new apartment, a new country. You can't become someone new in the same streets where your old habits live. New surroundings force new patterns. And you don't have the same muscle memory for failure. You can rebuild routines from scratch without being haunted by the ghosts of your past life. And this is the nuclear option. Obviously, it's not the best, but it does work because it forces a clean break. You can't accidentally run into the same problems when you've removed their habitat entirely. So the next thing is noise. Environmental design isn't just about what you see, it's also about what you hear and feel. And noise, sounds, influences you in ways you can't imagine. So cut background noise that clutters your brain. No TV droning in the background, no constant notifications, fewer voices in your head that aren't your own. Replace it with high quality input, music that moves you, focuses you, conversations that actually challenge you, spaces that feel alive but not chaotic. The less you have to think about, the more energy you will have for building. So the next thing would be to build systems into your environment so decisions happen without you. Preset your meals, have your workout playlist ready, lay out your clothes the night before. Reduce decision fatigue until action is automatic, and let your environment remind you to act. So, for example, a whiteboard on the wall, alarms that signal work blocks, sticky notes on the fridge with non-negotiables. It doesn't matter. Just design it to force you to act. So here's how to rebuild your environment so it forces growth instead of resisting it. So the first step would be to purge ruthlessly. Physical, digital, and social. Anything that belongs to your old self is dead weight. Then rebuild intentionally. Once you've purged, design spaces that pull you into action without friction. Then create sacred zones. One space for deep work, one for training, one for rest, and keep your boundaries tight between those spaces. Then curate your circle. Spend 80% of your time around people who push you forward and less time with people that are part of your old identity and old self, and old life for that matter. Then I would say upgrade your inputs, replace junk content with deep learning. And finally, systemize your life. Automate good habits so they run in the background. When your environment stops tolerating the old you suffocates. And once that version is gone, you'll find a strange, unnerving silence in your head. That's where the real work begins, because now it's just you, your thoughts, and the battles no one else can see. So let's talk about psychological fortification. So, your mind is the command center for everything you've done so far: the identity, the body, the skills, the environment. If that command center is fragile, the whole operation will collapse. And so, you can have the perfect physique and money in the bank, but if your head keeps under stress, criticism, or uncertainty, you'll fall back into old patterns. And I'm saying this from experience. Psychological fortification is the difference between people who glow for a few months and people who stay dangerous for decades. Without it, everything you've built can be dismantled with a single punch from life. Most people think resilience means staying positive or keeping a good attitude, when in reality, that's actually just denial. Real resilience is the ability to take a hit, process it without self pity, and keep moving forward with the same force you had before. It's the refusal to let circumstances dictate your fate and your pace. And pressure is a privilege. You build toughness by being in situations where you can fail publicly, lose painfully, and still show up the next day. The more you do this, the less those hits even register. They become background noise, and that's when you stop playing life on defense. Mental strength is about obedience to your own standards. You follow the rules you set for yourself even when no one's watching, especially when no one's watching. The more you show up for yourself, the more your brain believes you when you say you'll do something. And that belief becomes part of who you are. A person who keeps promises to himself or herself or themselves, no matter what. So, fortified minds don't chase every shiny thing. They lock onto a target and filter out everything else. Most people turn Most people burn out not from doing too much, but from being scattered in too many directions with zero depth. Every opportunity that crosses your path gets measured against your mission, and if it doesn't move you closer, it needs to die. You should stop letting the urgency of others dictate your time. You move at your pace on your path. You can't be unrecognizable if you're still a slave to moods, triggers, and reactions. Fortification means you don't let temporary feelings dictate permanent actions. When something provokes you, you don't lash out, you let it breathe, and that gap between impulse and action is where maturity lives. In that gap, you decide if reacting serves you or costs you. Most of the time, silence and stillness are the deadliest moves you can make. Weak minds collapse under stress. Strong minds turn stress into output. When things get hard, you see them as opportunities to sharpen. You don't say, "Why me?" You say, "Good, more reps." And you can train this by voluntarily putting yourself in uncomfortable situations: cold showers, public speaking, high stakes conversations, until discomfort becomes normal. And your internal dialogue will also decide whether you rise or fall. If you're constantly telling yourself you're tired, unlucky, or not ready, you're feeding the wrong wolf. Speak to yourself like a leader: clear, direct, uncompromising. Still, have some compassion for yourself. You don't have to, though, negotiate with your own laziness. Have a mental script for moments when weakness shows up, something sharp enough to snap you back into execution instantly. Mental strength isn't a one-time achievement, it's a constant feedback loop. So review your actions daily and ask, did I operate from strength or from weakness today? And if you slipped, identify the trigger and remove it from your life or prepare for it next time. So here's how to fortify your mind so it doesn't crack under pressure. I would say set 3 to 5 non-negotiables. Daily actions you will do no matter what, even on your worst days. Then harden through stress by seeking voluntary hardship weekly. Fasting, intense workouts, difficult conversations, whatever it is, just voluntary hardship. Then cut mental junk food. Reduce exposure to fear-driven news, gossip, and entertainment that keeps you reactive. And practice stillness, at least 10 minutes a day of just doing nothing, just breathing and letting your mind settle. Then I would say audit your triggers and track what causes emotional spikes. Decide in advance how you'll respond next time. Even write it out. And finally, reinforce your identity. Every night, write down one moment where you acted from strength, even if it's a small moment or even if it's a small action. So once your mind is unshakable, something will shift in you and how you carry yourself. You will stop explaining yourself. You will stop asking for permission. And once you hit that state, the way you interact with people and the way they respond to you changes forever. That's when it's time to start deliberately reshaping the social system you or ecosystem you operate in. So let's talk about social recalibration. So, who you surround yourself with really determines your ceiling. If your circle tolerates mediocrity, mediocrity becomes the gravitational pull you can't escape. You can try to inspire them or pull them up, but the truth is pretty simple. Most of the times, they'll pull you back down faster than you'll lift them. And so your environment isn't just walls and furniture, it's the voices you hear, the energy you absorb, the standards you normalize. If you want to become unrecognizable in 6 months, your orbit has to be rebuilt from the ground up. Now, relationships either accelerate you or anchor you. There's no such thing as a truly neutral connection. Someone's either feeding your fire or smothering it. And the faster you start seeing people in terms of net gain or net loss, the faster you'll stop wasting emotional energy on the wrong ones. You need to start measuring people by the effect they have on your actions, not just how much you like them. That friend who's always down for drinks, they might be fun, but they're also a brick tied to your ankle. From here on out, everyone in your life has to pass one test. Do they make you better, stronger, faster? And if the answer is no, it's most likely better for you to separate. You don't have to burn bridges dramatically. You just have to stop showing up to places where the old version of you used to waste time. You stop answering every message. You create space until the connection fades naturally. The absence will sting at first for you and for them, but that sting is the withdrawal from a habit you no longer need. And so that space gets filled with people who push you, not pull you. You can't just cut, you have to replace. Your new circle has to normalize the version of you you're building. When you're around people who think winning is standard, you stop feeling like you're trying. Winning becomes the baseline. And one way to do this is to pay for rooms if you have to. Join masterminds, networking groups, private communities. Spend money to be in proximity to people operating at a higher level. The more time you spend in that new ecosystem, the faster your old habits will rot away. And you will adapt to the room you're in. So pick better rooms. High caliber people also don't keep you around just because you want to be there. You have to bring something to the table. That means leading with value before you expect anything in return. Share knowledge, make introductions, solve problems, show that you're not there to leech, you're there to elevate the group. When you make yourself useful, the door stays open. The more you give, the more you're invited in. And if you don't have boundaries, you'll keep getting pulled into situations that drain you. Your time and energy are resources, so treat them like money. Be clear about what you will and won't do, and you don't need to explain or justify. The first time you break your own boundary, it's over. People remember what you tolerate. And in your old circle, you may have been the guy who fill in the blank or the girl who fill in the blank. That reputation is dead weight. You need to rewrite it in real time by acting differently until the story changes. So show them by doing, not telling. Let your absence from old habits be your loudest statement. Eventually, the people who knew you before will either respect the change or stop recognizing you entirely, and both outcomes are good. Your social feed is part of your circle too. Every account you follow is a voice in your head. If those voices aren't aligned with your goals, they're noise. So unfollow or mute anyone who isn't contributing to your evolution and replace them with people who are already where you want to be. The more quality input you get, the more quality output you produce. So here's how to recalibrate your social ecosystem in 30 days. First, I would say map out your current circle. Write down everyone you interact with weekly. And this might sound weird, but score each person with a +1, -1, or 0. So +1 would be if they push you forward, -1 would be if they're pulling you back, and 0 if they're just neutral. The first step would be to cut the negatives, reduce or eliminate contact with all -1s. Then try to replace them with more +1s. Reach out to higher caliber people daily and offer value, get in their orbit. And then invest in rooms, pay to access environments where you're the smallest fish. Maintain your boundaries, protect your time, energy, and focus like they're gold, because they are. Once your social ecosystem is upgraded, your standards will rise without effort. You start thinking bigger because everyone around you is actually playing bigger. And when that becomes normal, you stop having to force discipline. It's just the way things are. And from here, the only thing left is just making sure that the machine you've built keeps running without collapsing under its own weight by following the same rules we laid out here. So let's talk or go over the review. So we talked about identity overhaul, we talked about physical transformation, skill acceleration, environmental reengineering, psychological fortification, social recalibration, the review, and finally, your action items for the day or the next few days. First, pick a hard start date within the next 72 hours and commit to running through all 6 pillars: identity, body, skills, environment, mind, and social circle without skipping. This isn't a buffet, so you don't just choose which parts you like, you actually run the full sequence or you stay the same. Then measure your progress daily across all fronts: physical stats, skill milestones, environmental upgrades, mindset wins, and social shifts all need to get logged. The goal isn't perfection, just visibility. You can't improve what you can't see, and you can't deny the truth if it's staring back at you in black and white. And then finally, every 2 weeks, audit the system. What's working stays, what's stalling gets reworked. The mission is evolution, not rigid obedience to a dead plan. So you're not here to worship the process, you're here to become unrecognizable. So with that being said, make sure to, of course, follow these action items. And I know this video was a bit different, less editing, more raw. Let me know in the comments what you think of this. And again, thank you for being here. If you liked this video, make sure to hit the like button. Make sure to subscribe for more. Comment below to let me know what you think of this format. If you want to work with me directly, make sure to click the second link in the description. If you want to join our free community, make sure to hit the first link in the description. With that being said, once again, thank you for being here, and I'm going to see you in the next one.